So, one day last week, I got onto Netflix and I was super tired. So I said I was going to click on the first recommendation I had. I clicked that recommendation. It was a limited series. I watched it and then I said to myself, I have to go read the book that goes with it. And typically, I'm a person that reads a book, then watches the series or watches the movie. But this time I did it in reverse and I still enjoyed the book. So I'm going to tell you about that book in a little bit. But first, I'm Educator Barnes. I'm a former English teacher, literacy coach, and school librarian, and I love to read and I love to recommend books to you to read. The first thing I need to say is the book that I'm about to recommend is a book for mature audiences. So mature that my own children cannot read this. I have seventh grade identical twin boys who are into graphic novels. This book is a graphic novel and it came out of the DC universe. And my boys really love to read comic books. And I said, but you can't read this one, not yet. That book is Bodies by Cy Spencer. And this book is actually 8 comic books that's been put together into one book, which is why many people refer to it as a graphic novel. But it is important to note there are differences between comic books and graphic novels. The cool thing about this is as you go through each edition of this particular comic book series, you get to see like the front page of it if it as if it was an individual set. So that's something great because I know many people care about that. So what is this book about? So this book is about this body that is found in 4 different timelines. In the Netflix version of this, the present day is 2023 because that's when the series came out. But in this book, the present day is 2014. I want to make sure I had that right. So it all takes place in London. First time period is London 1890. Then you have London 1940, then London 2014, and then London 2050. And in all of these timelines, there's this body that is found. There's a different detective in each timeline, and each detective is trying to figure out what is going on with this body. Why did this body appear here on this same street across multiple periods of time? I thought the Netflix series did a great job of taking this story and adapting it. When things get adapted, sometimes characters get muddled together, storylines get simplified. So if you want to get the more complex storyline, I believe the graphic novel is better. The other cool aspect of this graphic novel that I want to point out is that every time period had a different illustrator. And I thought that was a really cool thing to do because you could have easily just used one person for each one, but I think you get a different vibe from each decade because you have a different person. And I think it lends itself to the story. The story was a quick read. I started this story once I got in the mail, and that was on one day, and I finished the story at a track meet. I was reading when my kids weren't running, and I finished it immediately. I enjoyed it, but again, it is for mature audiences. There are several sexual acts depicted in this in the comics. So if you have younger children in your home who enjoy comics, this is not a book just to be laying around somewhere because there are some things that happen in the book that if your kids don't know about, you might have some explaining to do to them. But again, I love reading all types of books. Graphic novels, the genre that I started reading when I started teaching middle school English. It's not the genre I read the most, but I still think it's a valid genre, and illustrations add so much more to the story and it gives it a lot of depth. And sometimes when I'm reading a really long book, sometimes I wish I just had a picture there in the book as I'm reading. And that's one of the benefits to graphic novels and comic books is because you have these illustrations throughout to support the text. So if you're an adult and you're looking for something to read, I suggest Bodies by Cy Spencer. And you can also check out the Netflix series, limited series. I found it great as well.